Welcome, everybody, to the Mando fan show. Who is that guy, and why is he infiltrating Book of Boba Fett? Holy cow, what an episode. Thank you to everybody for joining us here. We are live and very excited to talk about Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, Return of the Mandalorian, written by John Favreau, wonderfully directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. We'll get into that in just a minute. With me, as always, Lacey and James. And our guest this week, the bassist for the band's Story of the Year and co-host of the Star Wars podcast. Thank the maker. Welcome to the Resistance Base, Adam Russell. What's going on, man?
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello there.
First Easter egg out of the gate. An Obi-Wan Kenobi Easter egg, which is hopefully the next live action series we talk about. But dude, thanks for coming on. I kind of want for someone who's like new to as a guest to our show, just want to get an idea. Even though he wasn't in this episode, are you a Boba Fett fan?
I am, as of last year. Like I
I'm
always
kind of the same way. Yeah,
Me too.
Like I always thought Boba Fett looked cool, but I never really got it. You know?
Yeah, totally. I agree.
I hear people say stuff like, of course, as a kid, like, if we ever played Star Wars, I wanted to be Boba Fett if I was the villain. I always had the Boba Fett figure, and I was like, really? I mean, it's cool. But now I'm
Vader,
fully on board.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It was a little bit of a hot take, but I always kind of considered him a little overrated. But now
Kind of a chump, the way he died.
He did.
But he's come
Die
back.
like a chump.
Yeah, he's had quite the glow up, as they say, in his later life in that Polynesian spa. Or
Would you? Where does he lay
to.
now? Is he like your would you say like top 30, top 20? Like where's Boba Fett falling for you?
I mean, this version, the Tamara Morrison, like Stormtrooper helmet shattering Maori dancing version, he's up there like top 20 for sure.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Vetdemption.
Yeah.
Legit. So before we get going here, I do want to thank everybody who's joining us live in the chat. I see a bunch of people in there already. Looks like we have 120 people in there right now. So if you don't mind, if you're on Twitter, social media, wherever you are, share the episode, let people know, come on in, join the party. It's going to be a good time. If you do want your comment guaranteed to be featured on the show, we do have super chats available. We will be reading some comments throughout, but just have a good time. Enjoy it. This should be a great chat. And we're very thankful for Adam for joining us here on this little party we got going on. So as you know by now, the first thing we do on the Mando Fan Show to kind of get the vibe going is rate this thing. And Chapter 5 looks like it had a lot of buzz behind it. I absolutely loved it. I got up really early to do the Mando Minute. Hopefully you had a chance to check that out. But we rate it on the Tamara Morrison face scale. That beautiful face with the best veneers in the galaxy, 0 to 10, halves count. So we're going to see it. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of the higher rated episodes. We'll see. James, we're going to start it off with you this week. What did you rate Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, Return of the Mandalorian, on the Tamara Morrison face scale?
So it's tricky because I knew I enjoyed it a lot, but it was hard it not being a Book of Boba Fett episode, really. It's like if they just didn't air this and like when you click play on episode 5, it plays Return of the Jedi, would I be like 10? Like I loved it. It was great kind of thing. But, so I was kind of back and forth with some stuff, but I did end up giving it a really high score, which was a 9. My highest of the seasons, kind of surprisingly, I don't know, but I think I'm not alone in that because it felt very clear on social media and everything that everybody was like, I loved this episode, best one so far, very excited. And I don't know what that says about the Book of Boba Fett, but we'll get into that, I'm sure. But I landed on a 9 for my final thoughts on this episode.
Nice. Yeah, that's your highest, at least since I think you threw a 9 out for one of the
I think I had 9s and 9.5s, yeah, in other seasons, but
yeah, nice. Adam, how about you, buddy?
I give it 10 Tamara Morrison Maori tongues. Because, dude, 10, solid 10. rethought it for a second, but yeah, 10. I felt so many emotions right out of the gate. As soon as the title card hit, I choked up, you know? And it was just like such a perfect blend of everything new about Star Wars that we love, tributes to everything that all the groundwork that George laid with the most care and love that you could ask for, tie-ins to the prequels that made things for prequel haters still awesome, and things for those of us who love all of it happy in the moment, knowing like, dude, even the gnarliest prequel hater is gonna love that N1 Starfighter when he's done, you know. All that stuff, and then leading into what is clearly teeing up for bringing in all the stuff from the cartoons into live action, and thinking again about other fans who might not have seen any of that, how stoked they're going to get. And it just hit all the right stuff. 10 faces,
man.
10 heads,
All
10
right.
tongues.
10 for 10. I'm with James. I'm giving this a 9. I envy your confidence to give it 10, Adam, because I'm always like, there's always the better episode coming, and then I have to do the Spinal Tap thing where I'm like, it's an 11. But 9 for me. The same types of things you were saying, both of you, just hit everything. It was kind of like a cocktail of Star Wars, and they mixed it up and fed it to us, and it was fantastic. And even though Boba Fett wasn't in it, I'm not going to penalize it, because I think there's, just like with all of Jon Favreau's storytelling in Star Wars so far, there's a reason for everything and a payoff. And then when you go back and watch these things, you're like, I get why that happened. So 9 for me, highest score of the season so far, best episode, hands down, without question, of the season so far. Lacey, where are you at with Chapter 5?
You stealing my hands down? Hands down! This is the best episode so far of the season, which I know everyone's making the joke online. They're like, best episode, there's no Boba Fett. So I made the joke for you. You don't have to make it. It's all good.
Are you doing an 8 Mile here where you say all the jokes so that they can't say the jokes after?
Yeah. I'm stupid. I already said that for you too. So I gave this 9 out of 10. I thought this episode was awesome. I didn't know I knew I missed Mando, but I didn't know how much until I saw him come through those grocery store, like, plastic curtain. Yeah. Like, as soon as I saw him, I like literally fist bumped. And the funny thing is, going into the episode out loud, I said to myself, I was like, well, Mando should be in this episode. And they get you right in the beginning where they're like, yes, he is. You don't have to wait. He's here.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it was just so amazing. Bryce Dallas Howard is a queen and can do whatever she wants with Star Wars, in my opinion. She is absolutely amazing. We'll get into shots and stuff, but there are so many stunning shots and camera movements and just so many great things in this episode outside of just the story itself that made this my favorite episode, and I can't wait to get into it deeper. But yeah, no, this was my favorite, and the reason I gave it a 9 is because we all know what's coming next episode, so I couldn't give it a 10 because you guys know what's coming, and I can't. I'm sorry.
9 is high, though. That's, I think, all of our highs so far this season, and that rounds the 4 of us out to a 9.25. Look at that.
Oh,
Hey,
sorry, my bad.
Whoosh, covers it up.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
So
Yeah, you're welcome to the show.
So just on the
Hold all
concept of
comments to the end.
just on the concept of being hesitant to give 10 Tems or 5 stars or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if there's some kind of like corporate retail like rating back end for Tamara Morrison or something, it's like these. I don't know if I can curse here. If these MFers who can't give me 10 stars just on policy, and then that brings down my NPS. Like, what is this? Just consider that in the future.
Well, my thing is I've gone so crazy with Mando where I'm always giving 9s and 9.5. So I've been like, I'm going to go into this fresh. I'm going to go into this like, This is the new me, new year.
Yeah.
And here I am at a 9 again.
Right back up to a 9. Yeah.
I sent James the Ali G 10 gift.
Yeah.
I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yes, like 100%. Like,
Adam's like, did I stutter? Sending this family. So 9.25 for us, and then we'll flip it over to our patrons. They have a chance to submit their scores. We average those up. James, it looks like a little bit lower. I think we have the patrons at an 8.8. So there we go there. But still, I think that might be their highest score as well. So from us and our patrons, very high scores for Chapter 5. It appears it is the unanimous best chapter yet, as we're 2 chapters to go in this season. So we'll see if it can be topped. But so far, yeah, a lot of 10 out of 10s. That's going to be happening. That's going to be a theme going on tonight, I think, on this episode. A couple of comments real quick from that,
I like
from our
this one,
patrons.
too.
First one here, Megan Polar, 8 out of 10 Tems. Just needed more Tem. This converts to 10 out of 10 Pedros,
though.
I loved her conversion, Megan. Well done.
I was like, we could have done a Pedro scale tonight just to bring it back.
Everyone in the chat is saying that. We know, guys.
We know. The Pedro scale is, it's collecting dust right now, ready for season 3 of The Mandalorian, but it's there. We still have the scale. We have the set pieces, I swear. Next, Ian Thompson with Adam. 10 out of 10 beautiful Pedro faces. Again, Pedro. Honestly, I can't even really begin to capture the wondrousness, what a word, of what Chapter 5 gave us. It was visually gorgeous. I laughed, I cried, I was in awe. This may be my favorite 51 minutes of Star Wars ever, because every second of it was an absolute delight. All right, Ian. So, kindred spirits there, Adam. Ian is with you on the 10s of Tem. Great job there. Okay, Lacey, we good to move on to some Easter eggs?
So we do have a couple comments that I wanted to bring up and some super chats. But first, I thought this was a really funny comment from Steven. I brought it up before, so I apologize for going over the score. But hands down, this is the best episode featuring Jawa romance I've ever seen, which we'll get into in a little bit.
By default, maybe?
Yeah, by default. So first up for super chats, we have James P. What up, James? Who said, "Happy Mando Hump Day, TRB. How happy were my Phantom Menace peeps with that yellow, delicious Naboo starfighter appearing?" Wow. I think that's why a lot of people rated this episode so high, is because I believe, Adam, you had said that all the prequel callbacks and stuff for people.
Yeah.
Next is Double D. Thank you so much. Who said, "I never realized how much I missed Din Djarin." Yeah. I know, right? I felt it hard when he walked through, like I said, the grocery store curtain. Yeah. Next is McElvis. McElvis, how's it going? Who said, "The nostalgia was strong with this one. Look, give me all the fan service. I need it right now." Then we have JC. Thank you so much. Who said, "How freaking cool was that ring world?"
Halo.
It was
really cool.
Sick.
Yeah.
It was absolutely great. I was just like really, and I know people are going to give me flack for this, but I was really excited to see something like a new planet.
Yeah.
And not sand.
Yeah. It pulled me back to Rogue One with like the Ring of Kafrene. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. This is not like just a sphere. You know, there's like something cool here that's going on.
And the way it spun, how the light was kind of just going through the city. Oh my gosh, so cool. Such a cool concept. It's
also awesome to see something that's like such an old sci-fi concept, going back to like Asimov, I want to say, like was the first to postulate that idea. And we've seen it throughout sci-fi and all different kind of things, but to do it here and make it so Star Wars still, like it didn't look like Star Trek, it didn't look like
Interstellar.
Right.
Yeah. Really well done.
I agree completely. And there's definitely some Easter eggs that are tied to that scene and that location and stuff that we can get into in a bit here. So let's hop over to...
We have a couple more.
Oh, okay.
I'm not done yet. So Double D is back again. What up? He said, "Did y'all see Grogu's head shape in the present?" Yes, we did.
Yes.
We'll get to that in the Easter egg. We have a couple more.
Not first, the second time.
Byron Williams, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, "So amped when I saw the pod racing track from Phantom Menace."
Oh, yeah.
Guys, you are killing it with these Easter eggs. Well done. JC's back again. Said, "Guys, BD droid, I squeed."
Woo!
Squeed.
Squeed.
And the last one for now is from JD Cars, I believe. JG. My bad. What up, JG? He said, "I love how new musical cues from The Mandalorian and the animated shows are giving us the same feelings that we do from the music from the films.
Oh, yeah,
it's incredible how Mando's theme or Ahsoka's stirs us like the Force theme does." I agree. Look, the end of last episode, chapter 4, I literally was like, yes, at the end of the episode. I'm sure everybody was.
I did a rewatch because my wife is trying to keep up too. So I did one of my rewatches with her, and then like the first and second time I watched it, I didn't get moved by chapter 4 at the end. But rewatching it with her and like seeing her reaction because she loves Mando more than Boba Fett, I started getting a little like choked up, knowing like he's coming back, man. Like yeah,
So-
you know, it's crazy.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if this kind of kicks off the Easter egg thing or not, but like there is the. Did you guys notice they mix the themes just for
Yeah.
the intro?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we can. I don't know if we want to talk about that here or wait a little bit longer, but
No, let's go.
um,
Let's get into
Well,
Easter eggs.
I wonder if that. Yeah. So Adam, it could be pop culture references. It could be things that look like something from a Spielberg movie, a direct Star Wars Easter egg, something that stood out to you and triggered that nerd brain. So any Easter eggs you spotted, and you did sort of say you got a little choked up at the opening credits. Was it because of the blend of the music, or was it something else? Or
It was just the title card, just Return of the Mandalorian.
yeah,
With the
blank
music,
of the
was
blank
combo
is
for
also
sure.
very Star Warsy too. Yeah.
Yeah, it got me. But first one is a quote from the Armorer. The songs of eons past foretold of the mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore. Sadly, it only exists in legends. The most meta quote maybe in all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I definitely went to Wikipedia after seeing that. I'm like, oh, the Legends tab. Yeah.
The legend.
I could see like Emily Swallow saying that like during an interview, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, "Wow, that was really well spoken." And yes, it's true. Only sad that but it's like actual dialogue from the show.
That's
What
where
would
you
be
know, like-
amazing is if they created like just a link loop on Wikipedia, just to bounce back just on that quote, It just
Yeah.
yeah.
Just get trapped in that circle. And Filoni was like, John, toss that in there. Like,
Yeah.
that's just Legends.
Yeah.
Favreau's like, what's Legends? I don't know what that is. All right, Lacey, you're up next.
I'm going to go with the most obvious one off the top of the episode where he says, which I didn't know I was going to get so hyped about, but I literally yelled out, yes, out loud this morning in my house, was when he said, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold.
Yeah, call back. Yeah.
So hyped for that quote.
That's his yippee-ki-yay.
I know, right?
I like that. And he puts his hand on his holster and frees his blaster.
Yeah,
James,
yeah.
what do you got?
Well, I'll stick with that. Let's talk about that mixed theme thing too, because it didn't happen in the previous chapter at the end, and it doesn't happen at the end of this episode either. It only happens, I believe, during that title card. It was really interesting to initially start with that Boba Fett theme and then have it just blend. It's not like the two together, like Rogue One kind of did that sometimes.
Yeah.
They mix like two themes and kind of put them together. This like blended and went from one to the other, and I was like, wow, like they managed to pull that off in such a way that you almost don't even realize it's happening, but it's very clear to the episode that you're watching. Like, this was Book of Boba Fett, and now what you're getting ready to watch is not a mix of the two. It's The Mandalorian. We're gonna move into that, and it was almost thematic in that the way that they didn't just put the two together, but they moved into the other one just for this particular episode, which I don't know what they're going to do next week. Probably bring Boba Fett back and still have Din Djarin around, but no, I thought it was a cool little clever thing that if you didn't pick up, go listen to it now and you'll be like, oh wow.
Right. Yeah. I see John's comment there.
Yeah, John Forsyth chimed in and said, I can bring you in cold, said in a walk-in freezer.
I mean, talk about Easter eggs. Like the first shot, I was like getting immediate Rocky vibes. Just
Yes.
when
Yeah.
he was going to be
I wrote that down too as like an Easter egg too, like a Rocky vibe here.
But in terms of a Star Wars Easter egg, which ties into another sci-fi franchise, the shots of the Night of a Thousand Tears and the Imperial security droids just basically being Terminators and just walking through with the hovering probe droids for the first time ever, looking intimidating. What a shot that was. And I'm going to jump the gun here and say that was probably my favorite shot in the whole episode, was with the explosion and the creating the silhouettes of those droids.
Let me quick piggyback off that too. Something you might not have caught, but the fuel container is kind of like from Rebels, like Lothal, that whole thing.
Oh,
when,
yeah. I
when
didn't
it
think about that.
explodes,
Yeah.
like that explosion is kind of like it's not, but it's like loosely like reminiscent of Kanan dying. Like that fuel tank explosion was what he was in and what caused him to die. So it's like seeing that in live action, you're like, man, that's a massive explosion. And those are the tanks from Rebels, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it adds weight to like his power and what he really did. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Adam, did you have any others references, Easter eggs, anything you wanted to nerd out on?
Yeah, I got a handful, but to further that one first, I think there's
Even
a bunch
more.
of Terminator stuff in there.
Go for it.
So the TIE bombers with the kind of the dual cockpits, or the one cockpit and the whatever the side one is, at least from the upper angle and backlit by all the explosions, look just like the HK, the aerial hunter killers from Terminator.
Yeah.
And then a lot of World War II imagery, again going back to all Lucas's influence there. So I mean, you've got like the one big shot of the big Hiroshima looking explosion, and then the carpet bombing, D-Day style and all that kind of stuff. So a great mix. And somebody for Bryce Dallas Howard's age, like my exact age, it's just all connected. I'm like such a Terminator, mid 90s kind of sci-fi fan. So that was all connecting.
Dude, me too. That was very
cool.
Yeah, I was actually we were like one shot away from seeing a security droid stepping on a skull or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, seeing all the helmets on the ground was so depressing.
It would have been crazy to see the K2 droid step on a Mandalorian helmet and it like just crushes somehow, but it probably wouldn't have made sense, but would have been cool.
Adam, if you want to rifle,
I was going to say if he wants to go with someone else.
Yeah. Here, what's a good one? Oh, the moment right before Din shows up at Peli's place, when Peli's getting pulled behind that whatever that kind of like console thing is,
Yeah.
That's in every horror movie you can think of or something like that. But it being Bryce Dallas Howard and her being of the age she is, and then the movie she was in, that's Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Straight up,
I thought
right?
that, and I also thought Barb from Stranger Things. As a recent reference of like someone that's like holding on before they get taken. Yeah.
The very beginning of Jurassic Park is what I thought of too, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like that way of Spielberg cutting budget corners and being like, we really just have two people holding that person and they're selling the horror. We're not showing a beast here yet.
Yep.
And a little bit of Jaws too in the beginning when the woman's being dragged around the water. Yeah. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Because I thought that and I was like, is this a stretch here? But if you saw it and other people saw it, then it must have been like one of those like little nod to Spielberg. So I like that one. Good call. Lacey, do you have any others you want to throw? I know our audience fired off a bunch, so.
Yeah, it's funny, you make a list in your head and you're like, gotta remember this, and you just like get here and then you forget. One that's kind of sticking out to me that might not be one, but I'm kind of feeling that it is, only because I've seen this movie so many times, is when he's flying, first of all, he's flying the N1 starfighter through Beggar's Canyon, and there's a womp rat, it tilts up from the womp rat, which is really funny because it goes back to Luke and like all these other things.
Yeah.
But to see the pod racing, course was really cool, just to like you have those kind of nostalgic like I saw this in the movie theater type thing. And I don't care what anybody says, pod racing was so cool. It still is so cool. But there's a quote that he says that kind of stood out to me, and again, this might be a bit of a stretch, but for me it just reminded me of this. Was he says that it handles like it's a rail speeder. And it reminded me of Pretty Woman, where Julia Roberts says, like, oh, this card handles like it's on rails. Yeah. And it was like one of those things that I was like, it's such kind of a famous quote from Pretty Woman that like maybe they're kind of poking a little fun at that, or like making a little like, hey, it reminds me of this moment. It might not be a direct quote, but like it just reminded me of it because she's like so very, like, it's a very famous quote from that movie.
Dude, and she's 41 years old. Like, of course, that's exactly at her teen years when she would have seen that movie.
The armorer goes to touch the Darksaber and he closes her hand. And this is a Pretty Woman podcast now, folks, so buckle up.
Do you want me to give one more just because we keep it going?
Yeah.
The Starliner from Galaxy's Edge. They're throwing those in everywhere, guys. They want you to go to that hotel.
It's not the same one, though, right?
It's not the same one, but the fact that they're like Starliner, he's taking the bus, Starliner. You're like, oh, I could go on that ship. Not the same one, but I could.
Don't cosplay. They're pretty much telling you not to cosplay to those hotels. You're gonna take all your
Oh,
weapons
dude.
off.
They're saying
don't bring
fully.
weapons.
They're saying fully do it. Do cosplay.
Yeah.
Are they? They say that?
Yeah, that's
Oh, wow.
according to Ashley Eckstein. They're saying
Man.
like in the park you still can't wear like a full length cloak. I don't think you could have any blasters, but they're
Can't
saying
wear a
yes,
mask. Yeah.
yeah, nothing fully covering your face, but show up in your character essentially.
That's cool. I like that. No weapons though. Yeah. All right.
I'll do a quick one right on
Yeah.
just with the Starliner thing. Rex, like that pilot droid showing up, like that's
Oh,
another
yeah.
kind of like Easter egg to I guess Galaxy's Edge, but more appropriately probably Star Tours. Kind of using him as like a droid, and I think he may have even been in another episode of Mandalorian, if I'm not mistaken, an earlier one. But it was
He's in the
interesting to
band
see
in
him
the
being
Sanctuary.
like,
Or one
oh,
of
that's
the
right,
mo-
yeah,
the
yeah.
model,
So it's like, yeah, so it's like a strong focus on that particular character. But there was also there's a lot of little Easter egg droids. There's the Empire Strikes Back droid, the one that like Han is like, wait a minute, you know what I'm talking about? When he's
On the Falcon.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's like
on Han.
repairing
Oh,
the
yeah,
Falcon.
yeah.
He tells the thing to like wait a minute.
Second.
Yeah, wait a second, and then he ends up like having the conversation. The droid like walks away, like in the background. I always think that's so funny. He tells it to wait, and it just like walks away. But
Yeah.
you know, I saw it in this episode at Peli Motto's, and I was like, "That's that droid." You know what I mean? And I don't know if I'll steal it from somebody, but obviously, you know, there's another very popular droid that shows up at
Yeah.
Peli Motto's.
Yep.
I guess I'll
Oh,
just
you
say it.
say
It's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the BD droid or whatever, which people immediately will connect to when it was created for the game Jedi Fallen Order.
I laughed when they groaned when she was like, "Hey, Mando's back," and they all go, "Wow."
Yeah. But that droid showing up, I would like to think it means something. It probably doesn't. They're probably just pulling random types of droids, but it looks great in live action.
It
It's
does.
like almost like the softest of pitches. Like, hey, do you like this in live action? We can do it, you know? And
Yeah.
so it kind of plays in that world a little bit and maybe gets you a little bit excited. But no, I liked how cute it was and how it interacted with Mandalorian throughout the episode. Great.
It was
droid,
well
yeah.
animated. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I like that a lot. Also, like back to what Lacey's saying about the N1, he definitely tried spinning, and he probably heard that was a cool trick. So he did that.
I like that
Um,
he doesn't need a docking ring, which I thought was like very
Oh,
Obi-Wan
yeah.
from
Obi-Wan
Attack of the
Starfighter,
Clones.
Yeah. So Rick, one of our listeners, sent this to me, and he's like, "I can't make the live show, but if you don't mind bringing this up, because it's a great call, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about this. A lot of people were saying that like Vertical Ring City Place was a lot like Halo, but he brought up in an old Star Wars Marvel comic issue 19, they go to a place called the Wheel, and check out this place. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Look at that ring.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's like in an old Star Wars comic, and he said the upper level is called the Crimson Casino. So I don't know if that means anything or whatever, because sometimes they try to loosely create something new out of something old. But I thought that was a great Easter egg. So good point out there, Rick. Good job. I don't have that many others. So Adam,
I had
if
this
you
one.
wanna...
Galactic
Oh, yeah.
Curator said that Kendall said some people on Discord mentioned the Cairo converter stick looks like the trash compactor stick that they
Yep.
use in
Yeah.
New Hope.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Adam, if you have others, just fire them off.
I have several, but I'll just do a couple and then be that guy and tell you that if you want to hear the rest, you have to listen to my podcast also.
There you go, buddy.
What's a good one?
While you're looking really quick, Lacey, you mentioned the Beggar's Canyon. I saw somewhere that they said that the barricade was broken still. Like no one had fixed the barricade that led up to the
That's what I
ramp.
saw. Someone, showed a screenshot.
Yeah, didn't have a chance to go take a look at it, but it was kind of funny because, you know, that's very clearly they show that shot to be like, remember when he broke it? You know, it's like not just the area, but a very specific piece of
Yep.
The other thing
equipment
is,
there.
you know, we saw Carson Teva again, which is awesome. I was so excited to see him and hear his voice again. He's been on the show, so as soon as you hear his voice, you're like, oh my God, it's Paul. And then the guy that played Luke Skywalker, Max Lloyd Jones, plays the other lieutenant which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Good for that dude.
Right?
Yeah,
Good for that. He's living my dream. He gets to be Luke Skywalker and an X-Wing pilot. Dang. And he got the whole Baby Yoda, Grogu.
Might get an action figure now out of the deal.
That's a good point.
Dang.
In
What
2
else you
years.
got, Adam?
The N1 Starfighter J-type pulse engines that Peli's talking about. Padme's Naboo cruiser is a J-type Nubian starship. So I don't know if that's like an upgrade, like put a Corvette engine in a LeBaron convertible kind of thing or what. But either way, referencing the same type of starship engine.
I like that you went with LeBaron convertible. I'm thinking of like George Costanza now driving John Voight's car. Yeah, if anyone else, I mean, throw them out, and we'll get the rest out.
Just a couple fun things. Like I heard Fathier was tossed out. I heard obviously he says wizard at the end. That was a fun moment. Like a callback to that one.
And says it so legit, so genuinely. Like,
yes,
wizard.
Yeah, he was like you could tell he was feeling it. You could tell he was feeling it before that too, because she goes, "Why don't you jump in there and fire it up?" And he goes, "Can I?" Like he's like, "Really?" Like you could tell he was like getting excited about it, which is interesting.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing, the napkin that looked like Grogu with the head and the ears, that was a big one that everybody was talking about. It's such a cute little moment.
Yeah, they're gonna market that with like treats. They're gonna package them with those little like napkins now.
Yes.
I saw a very specific moment. And this might be a stretch. I might have done this stuff too, but like, there's a moment where he's sitting there, and you're like supposed to be focused on him sitting in the cruiser, and then like a droid like walks in front of the screen and blocks the whole screen.
Oh,
and I was
the
like,
Ronto?
it felt very much like it was them saying like, that's okay to do that, and the fact that like they do it in the episode and nobody complains is like, that's because it's just part of filmmaking and it's not really that big of a deal, and it makes you feel immersive. It's almost kind of like they're saying George was right. George is fine. Leave it alone. It doesn't have to, you don't have to see everything. It makes it more like there's stuff going on around your characters too. So I just thought it was funny. It's like clearly blocks the whole screen for like, 3 seconds or something.
Bryce Dallas Howard coming out as a huge special edition fan. That's what that is.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah, it's cool with me. All right, well, we can scoot along to our next segment, which is our giveaway, our season-long giveaway. And it is called the Mando Code. So every episode, I've been giving away one number out of order on a scrambled number that we're going to reveal the final number for when the season finale airs in a couple of weeks. But hopefully you've been following along each week, gathering your numbers. And at the end of the season, I will let you know how you can enter to win. If you think you have it correct at that time, we won't be accepting them early. But the grand prize is a Star Wars Black Series Boba Fett re-armored wearable electronic helmet. So good luck to everyone there. I revealed the fourth number in the code last week, so make sure you go back and gather that if you haven't yet, because now the fifth number in the Mando code is 6. So jot it down. Don't share it, because obviously you want to win. You don't want to be buddies with people. You're a bounty hunter. You're on your own doing your thing. All right. So next we're going to move on. Just have a discussion about this thing, and we'll start it off by pointing out maybe our favorite single moment, favorite shot, favorite scene in this chapter. So our guest of honor, Adam, did you have a favorite single shot, a favorite moment, favorite line, any single thing that stood out to you like that? That was my favorite spot of that chapter.
It's so easy to go for the Night of 1,000 Tears D-Day kind of shot, but I'm going to have to go with the the whole sequence basically of the rebuilding of the N1 with Peli. And then the test flying. It was like, I'm a sucker for montages, especially building montages, being a maker, being just like, a nerd like that. And then the test flight had so much Top Gun vibe in it. And I'm such, a Top Gun nerd. And I also love how, he pulled up kind of next to the X-Wings, seeing that juxtaposition of the old and the new. And it's also interesting really cool, because the old is like the more sleek looking one. It was just like such a cool moment.
Right.
So all of all of that sequence, the building, and the test flight.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're definitely all in on the eras blending into one another, and
sure.
I think that is a really cool aesthetic as well. And I'm glad you point that out, because I didn't make that connection. Like, those were sort of the quote unquote X-wings of the Phantom Menace. That was like, this is your new version of that good guy ship. So yeah, that's a great point. All right, so I'm up. I am picking the I said it before, the Night of a Thousand Tears shot with the orange background after the explosion that created silhouettes out of the Imperial security droids, aka the K2 style droids, and the Imperial probe droids up top. That's just like it's its own poster or wallpaper in itself, and just a beautiful shot, and how crisp it looked. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm seeing this. So I thought that was my favorite single shot. Plenty of moments to go through, but single shot, I'm going to give that one my heaviest vote. Lacey, how about you? Did you have a favorite moment, quote, shot?
Yeah, so I geeked super hard at the continuous take, the long shot in the beginning of the episode where he goes to the ring planet. And I mean, consistently through the whole episode, Bryce Dallas Howard does a great job of like world building, like James said, where she has the droid go in front of the camera. Kind of reminds me of like The Empire Strikes Back, where Han and Leia are arguing and someone walks between them. Like, it creates this like thing, like you're there. It's not like a perfectly set up shot. There's stuff going on. There's blocking, etc. But the shot that Mando goes into the elevator, rides up the elevator, comes in, then the camera goes around the entire table and then back out down the elevator. That is such a beautiful shot, and the technical skill and effort and blocking and acting and everything that went into that shot was just so well done. And it's so well done because you don't notice it unless you're looking for it. Like, unless you have an eye where you're like looking for those kind of technical things, you probably didn't even notice it because it's just that good. And then like the shots at the end when they're building the ship, there's these beautiful kind of pan slide shots where you have Mando looking one way and at Peli Motto, and the camera's going this way, and then in the same direction it's going the opposite way as well. She just did a really good job, Bryce Dallas Howard, of like playing with the 180-degree rule with cameras, and like if he's looking into the box, she shot up from the box, like playing with the axis of where the camera is looking. It just was so interesting, and I loved it. And that one take though, I geeked out so hard, and I had Matt come in and watch it with me and like talk about it. The technical skill. He thinks that the actors were put in post and weren't there, because he says there's like a certain glow around them that he's like, those kind of look like they were just put in after the fact. And I was like, I mean, maybe.
For the long shot, you mean?
Yeah.
It is interesting because considering they're still in the volume.
He's saying it just looked kind of like, if you go back and look, and I agree, there's kind of a fuzz to it, but it might just be the certain lighting that they had, that like he thought maybe they blocked it out and had Mando act to the table and go around the whole table, but nobody's sitting there.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless, it's still a really cool take.
Yeah.
It could be two shot. Like maybe they're playing with the volume to the extent of it used to be, shot. Now they're actually going, okay, let's get a shot. Let's get another shot in the volume and superimpose them or put them together. Maybe this is the first time they're using Robert's knowledge of like, putting multiple things together.
Yeah, the elevator was really cool though, and it reminded me of Hunger Games, because they could do the whole elevator shot in Catching Fire where they go into the elevator and it's one take all the way down. It reminded me of that because you see the whole background moving at the same time. And then, of course, the Armorer shot where you see the big star field and she's kneeling. Yeah. Just there were so many just beautiful shots in this episode.
That reminded me of something else. But James, I want to go to you if you had a favorite moment or shot or quote from this.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, but one that hasn't been mentioned, then that's just kind of personal to me is I feel drawn to the character of Paz Vizsla. I think he's just cool. Like, I don't know what it is about like his armor or something, just like the gun and the jetpack and everything about him. So I was very excited like to see not the armor, but like when he comes around the corner, I'm like, yes, you're still around. You're still a character. I'm not super happy with the way that all went down, but there was a lot in there. to like about that character showing up and me being very excited about him. Like they have very specific shots of him like noticing the blade and looking, and then they have their conversation, and then he's the final shot before the wipe, and stuff. I'm like, well, he's obviously gonna be wanting to get that back, or he's thinking about trying to take that. And so I was getting excited by their choices of editing, because I knew what they were trying to allude to, that he was eventually going to take that back. Another quick Easter egg too, like I forgot to mention, the whole like Trials of the Darksaber thing with Rebels, like and the interaction between him and the saber, and she's trying to like teach him how to do it. It's just like, go back and watch that episode, which I did, and I'm like, yeah, man, like Kanan's saying the same stuff to Sabine. It's like, it's really cool, like the way it's all coming together. But obviously Dave, so it makes sense.
And he's up next week, so we'll see if he branches or continues that. So let's just kind of chat about the episode. What it did, what it laid out, what it means to the world building, the lore, just the story, how we feel about Boba Fett not being in the best chapter of the book of Boba Fett. A lot of things.
He's literally not in it, and it says at the end, starring Tamara Morrison.
Right. So the one thing I kind of noticed is when Mando shows up, and they're just like, we're going right for it. Like you said, Adam, it's the Return of the Jedi. It's Return of the Mandalorian. There's the title. Boom. There he is right there out of the gate. But the music they're playing as he is first shown is very ominous, very dark. He kind of is walking in this sort of serial killer, Michael Myers sort of way. There's a darkness to him. And then the way he takes out those guys is very malicious, harkening back to chapter 1 of The Mandalorian, before he met Grogu and started becoming more of a human in a proverbial sense. So it's almost like, in my opinion, him and Boba Fett are like two ships passing in the night, where you had the guy who was the ruthless bounty hunter, who's now becoming more of a human because he met his found family in the Tuscans and he's sort of changing his ways. And you have Mando, who became that, but now he's going back to what he was good at because he no longer has Grogu. So I think there's this sort of weird dichotomy where they're sort of becoming the other one, but on like the reverse direction. So that was the first big thing I saw, and I don't know how that's going to play out when they get together. But I'll throw that out there. But let's just chat about it and what else this episode brought to the table.
Can I ask a stupid question? I'm going to pull a Michael Scott and be like, explain this to me like I'm 5. Why is the Darksaber so hard for him to throw around?
Because
I couldn't remember.
It's implied that there's something more there than just like a dumb inanimate object.
Like
right?
A power? Got it.
Yeah, like it's imbued with the Force in some way.
Yeah,
is my interpretation. But she keeps saying, you can't fight it. You can't try to use your strength to manipulate it. You have to work with it, essentially. And I think there's a lot of implication there for like the idea that, which I'm fully sold on, the idea that there are so many more Force sensitives in this universe than the narrow, dogmatic view of the Jedi would let on.
Mm-hmm.
That was almost a verbatim quote drop.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Dude, as far as I'm concerned, Han Solo has a higher midichlorian count than, the chef down the street at, the diner, whatever.
Right.
He might not be a Force wielder formally. He might not even be aware of it, but he's got faster reflexes. He's got this or that because he's got more midichlorians.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah, you don't have to go and pursue the religion or pursue the powers. Kind of like Leia didn't pursue for a long time. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
It was crazy seeing him hurt himself with it. That was the first time I think I've ever seen a person hurt themselves with their lightsaber.
So one thing that was interesting too is like, they say, John, you're not like a super fan of this, but like Rey, like, it calls to you, like the lightsaber is kind of like speaking to or trying to bond with this particular person. Is like, what happens when a lightsaber is not calling to a person? You know what I mean? And it's not trying to. And I think that's kind of like what the lightsaber is like, he's sitting there and he says it's getting heavier. And when you go back and watch the Sabine stuff, as she's using it more and more, she mentions that it feels lighter. And he's like, that's because you're starting to like get it. You're starting to bond with it. And it has a lot to do with like your process of understanding who your enemy is. And she's fighting. When I say she, I mean Sabine. She was like fighting with herself. Like she didn't know if she wanted to wield this weapon or not. So it was like, yes, I'm doing it, but I have an attitude about it. And the saber's not reflecting with that. She needed to like connect with it, and they needed to be on the same page in order to effectively use the weapon. And if Mandalorian is feeling the same way, he's like, what is this thing? I don't care. Then you take it, kind of thing.
It was giving me Lord of the Rings vibes.
Then he's having a hard time wielding this thing. And she's like, it's not going to help you to keep trying if you're not actually going to change your mind. And then they go through the whole process of fighting over it, and then he gets kicked out of the thing. So I think he's really in a crisis right now, and he's technically using the weapon, but I think they're either going to take it away from him, like he's going to lose it, give it up, or somebody else is going to take it, whatever, or he's going to have to learn to accept his role as this new leader or something like that, which probably seems more likely.
It's like Luke with lifting the X-Wing. He wasn't fully believing in himself, so he wasn't able to do it, and that's why you fail. It's similar to me in that regard. I was getting some evil vibes though from the Armorer and Paz Vizsla there, like the whole.
I thought they were gonna jump him.
Didn't it feel a little Palpatine Vader-y, and like the setting looked a little Death Star-ish? The ramp, she's at the end, kind of like how Vader looks out at the Starscape, and she's saying, "Bring me the weapon," like Palpatine did about Luke's saber. There was just a lot of parallels I noticed between Palpatine and Vader, and her and Paz Vizsla, and how she oversaw them fighting. Like she was giving me like big time Shivi Babe vibes in this chapter.
That's a good connection with him being the Vader character.
Yeah.
Where it's like, he brings the weapon, and then like they end up fighting, and one
like
ends up
she's
winning.
saying Bo-Katan is like, she's the problem. I'm not thinking the armor is the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, can I make a bold prediction, or do you want to save that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I go more in depth with this. We kind of talk about it a bit in our coverage, which comes out tomorrow on Thank the Maker. But to the point about Din potentially either being having the Darksaber stolen or relinquishing it or this or that.
Sure.
I think the way he feels about it now, he's Neo in the Matrix. He heard what he needed to hear to become who he needs to be, or who he's ultimately going to be.
Like Spider-Man.
So, yeah, same kind of thing. So
you're saying what he needed to hear was them kicking him out?
Yes, and saying, and like in just being told by everyone being told opposing things by everyone. He's got, at the season finale of season 2, being told essentially like, oh, now you're the leader of Mandalore with your Darksaber, and then being told by the Armorer and sort of this side of things that number one, he's kicked out, and it's just everything's being challenged. So he's in a really bad place. Grogu's gone. I mean, we see in the opening of the episode, he's not just back to his old ways. I think he's dealing with stuff emotionally, so he's just out there cutting people in half, because what else is he going to do? So if you think about the fact that the Darksaber was forged by, and she says it, someone who was not only Mandalorian but also Jedi, what if the ultimate heir to this Darksaber must also be Mandalorian and Jedi, like a true Mandalorian and a true Jedi?
Yes. Yeah.
What if it's him? He doesn't know it. He doesn't understand the Force. He's like, hey, kid, do the hand thing. Kid, bring me the rock. What the hell's wrong with you? He doesn't get the Force. He doesn't get this Mandalorian. He doesn't get the other side of it. I mean, he's just like, he's the best person to be the leader of Mandalore. He's like one click off of being just a farm boy. You know what I mean?
So you think it's still him? I thought you were going down the Grogu path. So he's going to be like...
Which a lot of people have been going down. Yeah.
I'm thinking potentially Din could be like a legit Force wielder and not be a Jedi formally, but it could be revealed at some point he is in fact a force wielding Mandalorian, and that's
I mean,
why
he is
truly,
the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
What I thought was really interesting in this episode is that discussion that him and the armorer were having, because she says, the Jedi need to get rid of all their attachments. And he's like, but that's the opposite of what the Mandalorians do. You know what I mean? We're very loyal and stuff. So then they are going to make him the armor and all this. And so I was like, okay, so I feel like those two ideas are maybe still coming together loosely, but that when they said those two things are opposite, I was like, but it immediately called back to the story she just told. I'm like, but you have a character who was very clearly Jedi and Mandalorian, and he was the one who forged this saber. So those ideas can mix, those ideologies, and a person can still abide by both of them, as is told by this saber. That's the legend of this saber. So it when they're saying, Grogu doesn't follow the rules, or he can't be Mandalorian for these reasons, but he can be for these reasons, it just, the whole thing started all to come together. And I'm like, I think they're going to play both, that you can be force sensitive and Jedis and Mandalorians and connections and not connecting. Like, it just all feels like they're just going to play with that. And he's going to write his own version of what it means to be, which is going to be true of the Darksaber's legend.
Just like Rey, like teaching the same lessons as the sequels, that all the dogma of what we thought was the only way, the Jedi way, the Mandalorian way, is not the end all be all.
Right. Yeah. It just seems like
exciting.
there is this sort of very dedicated to this creed, almost to the point of an obsession with the armorer, that whoever she was is just festering more and more into this obsession with this way that she is so focused on to restore Mandalore, that she may have lost her way in terms of righteousness or something. And Paz Vizsla is right there behind her. So that's kind of why I'm seeing the master and apprentice thing between the two of them. And a lot of the constructs and shots and stuff like that gave me a lot of those Luke, Vader, Emperor vibes, where Mando was the Luke character in this situation. Paz Vizsla was the Vader, and she was the Emperor. And it's just like, I never thought of the Armorer as bad or Paz Vizsla as bad. I was just like, these are Mandalorians. They're just trying to scrape by, and they're trying to do the best they can to keep it going and honor what came before them. And now I'm getting a total antagonistic, dark, bad intentions, sort of the Dark Knight quote, you're the hero long enough until you live long enough to become the villain, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Even when Bo-Katan showed up, she's like, "Oh, I know Children of the Watch, religious." Crazies,
nuts.
But there's almost too many rules. You can't follow them. You try to follow that, you're never going to be able to live for something that matters.
To Adam's point, Luke recognized that about the Jedi, that they got so bogged down in their egos and their obsession with what they thought was the right way, and it wound up not being.
Yeah, that power doesn't belong to you. It's it's universal. It's not, the Jedi can't write these rules that need to be followed, because whether you follow them or not, the Force still exists, and it's still going to exist beyond any religion. And if we keep saying this is the only way to be good, then that needs to stop. And Luke is willing to end that.
Yeah.
The whole situation was definitely giving me creep vibes. The whole time I was watching, I was like, something's not right here. Something's a little off, a little sus.
Dude, the vibe that I got right with that is Paz Vizsla has this this entitlement. Just I'm thinking in damn Gladiator.
Commodus?
Yes. Yeah. You know what I mean? That, it's just that trope of the heir to the throne. And
this belongs to me just because.
And ultimately they're they're an impotent dipshit who doesn't should be entitled to anything.
Yeah, he did seem a little stupid when he picks it up. He's like, and now I have the blade.
Yeah, but he can't even pick it up. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Who is this creep? Get him out of here.
I have to say, people are making some jokes in the chat, which I had said to James and John earlier, was that very Mean Girls, like, you can't sit with us. Like, I totally got those vibes from them.
On Wednesdays, we wear beskar.
Yeah.
Quick thing, that's not Jon Favreau, right?
It
For
sounded
sure.
weird to me. It
I thought it
sounded
was.
weird.
No,
It's him for sure. It's
I noticed it right away that I was like, oh, when he speaks, it's going to be Jon Favreau's voice. Can't wait to hear it and pick it out. And I'm like, that sounded weird.
It
That's
sounded
not
off.
him.
Like they mixed it differently than the first
and then
season,
I
which
went-
sounded very much him.
I don't think it is. I looked at all the credits. He's not credited as being at the beginning with all the speaking characters roles, and then he doesn't show up as any sort of cameo listing or anything.
I think he's pulling a James Earl Jones and just giving the credit to the physical actor because it's
The
on
stunt guy.
Wikipedia. Yeah, as his voice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They may have
It's
just
on
they may have just
Wikipedia.
I was going to say they may have engineered it a little differently than when we last heard him. And
Definitely. It sounded way lower than the first
And-
season, which was like, oh, that's Jon Favreau.
But
Sounds
maybe
like Rio
that's
Duran.
on purpose to add some menace to it and add that sort of dark
Yeah.
edge to the character.
Cool.
I don't know. Yeah, and he wasn't.
Doesn't sound like him to me. I'm still a little skeptical. All right.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, for context though, the James Earl Jones reference I made, he was not credited on A New Hope,
Right.
or not even. It wasn't until Return of the Jedi, right?
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Because he was embarrassed at first, wasn't he? Wasn't that the story?
like one of those voice actors. What the hell is this?
IMDb does say Jon Favreau as Paz Vizsla, but it says uncredited. So I don't know.
And also IMDb, you gotta be a little careful because sometimes that.
Well, no, I'm saying that's more confirmation for me because
Yeah.
it wasn't on IMDb earlier,
So
and he's not in the credits. So that's
looking ahead to chapter 6, Mando alludes to the fact that he's going to go to Grogu, not necessarily like he's going to be like, "Hey Grogu, this is pretty cool. Why don't you come down here?"
Yeah.
I still do
sending
the
him
old
green
phone,
bubbles.
by the way. This is my phone still. I'm curious as to where we go. Obviously, Boba Fett's going to yeah, there you go, Zach Morris.
You push the antenna down, you hang up.
Or this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, rotary. So where are we going in chapter 6? I know there's a lot of people wondering, like, oh, Luke Skywalker's coming, Grogu's coming, everyone's coming. Adam, what's going on with the show in chapter 6 with Dave Filoni?
I think. Oh God, it's.
I'm just laughing at everybody's speculation for chapter 5 when it was like, so I think in chapter 5 Boba Fett will wrong.
Yeah, right.
Immediately just hard
Yeah.
wrong if you thought he was even going to be in it.
I would say, yeah. Will it be Filoni's next week confirmed 100%, or is he?
I know he wrote it. He wrote chapter 6. That's confirmed. So the assumption is that he's because he is a director on this season.
Yeah.
They're assuming
Yeah,
he's
he's
directing
a
the one he
director on the
wrote.
season, so
Yeah.
it's either this week or next week, and he wrote next week's. So, or sorry,
God,
yeah, you
I've
know
got-
what? You follow me.
I have some bold predictions about the whole thing, but smaller predictions. I feel like we have to see Bosk. Who knows if it's going to be next week or the following week, but the setup for it is so deliberate, or at least it seems deliberate to me. The conflict between Black Chrysanthemum and the Trandoshans. They didn't throw that scene in the sanctuary there where he
Right.
rips the one's arm off just to be like, hey, this guy's tough. Like the Wookiee pelt, the history from Clone Wars and elsewhere of them hunting Wookiees, and then obviously the connection to Boba Fett from The Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is potentially going to come in maybe as part of the crew, and there's going to be some conflict between the two of them. I'm still for sure.
See Bosk, man.
Yeah,
They said they're looking for muscle. Maybe Mandalorian's not the only one they go to.
yeah. I'm still holding out for. I don't know. I don't know if this is the time to speculate. I'm holding out for some big ridiculous stuff.
Do you think Crimson Dawn is the big reveal, or do you think everyone is just so on the pulse of that's not going to be the case?
I think I'm feeling more and more strongly about it because they slipped the Crimson Dawn theme into the end of last episode, I think. Did you hear that? It's like
Yeah,
4 notes.
I know
It-
people.
And
it's-
Mando's, yeah.
Boba Fett's theme at the end. And people are saying they saw imagery of the crest of Crimson Dawn at the mayor's place via the shadow from the sun. So there, I mean, we could just be seeing things with our eyes and assuming that that's the case. It could be coincidence, but it's very possible. And you know what? The thing about Bosk is they've been trying to get him involved for a long time now. Like he was at one point going to be the big reveal at the end of Solo instead of Maul.
Yeah.
They've been trying to get him in, and now that they've like keep making these Trandoshans and they all look so cool, what a time to bring that guy back.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so many. This is bigger picture stuff because I ultimately see this as just an offshoot of The Mandalorian. I don't see it as a standalone series at all. I think it's all one big story.
Yeah.
Even if there's another season of this, and then the Ahsoka series, I think it's just like everything else. You know, until 2 years ago, they were offshoots of the Skywalker saga. This is its own lane, and all of these things are offshoots of that one timeline, so to speak. But you think about how connected Ahsoka is to Mandalore, the relationship she had there. That's where she battled Maul, you know, for the last time, basically. Maul once ruled Mandalore. He was tied, you know, to Crimson Dawn. Like everything, it's just like it's Dutch door action. Like everything is, you know, it's all
I like that. Yeah.
connected.
Yeah.
So we could see any of like a half a dozen huge things in these last 2 episodes, or they could just be teased and then end up in the other 2-3 series that we have coming up. It's just
That's
which
true.
one is it going to be? Like, are
They
we going to see
don't-
Kira? Are we going to, you know, so on and so on?
Yeah, they don't have to tie up all the loose ends. That's a good point. Lacey, I know we have some super chats you have to get to, right? So, why don't we...
Yeah. Do you want me to give my speculation or do you want to jump into those?
Well, it's up to you. If you want to do those or yours,
Sure.
your call, whatever you prefer.
So first up, we have a super chat from Jackie Cobb. Hey, Jackie, you didn't write anything, but if you write it in the chat, like, this is my super chat, I'll make sure to grab it for you. We have a couple more. Hold on.
Thanks,
While I'm
Jackie.
scrolling. We have Sooner Thrawn. What up, Sooner Thrawn? Who said, anyone else fear them losing Din's luggage? Yes, there were so many moments in this episode that gave me anxiety.
All
which is-
caps anxiety.
Yes.
That was
when
like
he's
that-
like, I'm putting this thing into this luggage. I'm like, there it goes. There it goes. It's gone. All this stuff's gone.
Yeah, and it was what's the thing we were just talking about this, like so and so's shotgun or whatever the story is, like that like writing tool or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway,
No.
I was like, what is the you don't? Okay, well, what is the point of showing him going through that conversation
Process,
and that
yeah.
process when he goes there and he opens it up and it's all there, and I'm like, okay, so he didn't lose it, so why are you showing me this? I was like, maybe there's like a tracker or something, and then it like never showed up, and I was like, I don't know, we got 2 more episodes, so let's see if there was a point to that. Is it
Or maybe
literally just
Favreau
a
just
joke
hates
of being
TSA.
like,
Exactly.
maybe.
It could have just been humorous. It could have just been a funny bit that they threw in.
Dude, when he was like
Yeah.
emptying out, you know, the cable,
Whistling
you know,
birds.
and
Yeah.
all of it, like it reminded me of something specific from a movie that I can't put my finger on, but it was like a, you know, like a parody movie, like Airplane or some crap like that. You know what I mean?
You can
Yes.
have
Yeah,
all
like-
these
like he's
things.
gonna- he's gonna check his pocket and there's like a 9-foot balloon animal in there or something.
Yeah, or
you know?
Right.
rainbow handkerchief. That's
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be
yeah,
funny if
exactly.
They made him take his shoes off.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like pink socks on. Like, come on through, man.
That did give me anxiety, though. That and like the armorer whole sequence. I was like, oh my God, they're going to turn on him. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then this, who would have thought luggage would give me stress, but it did.
Yeah.
Next is Ryan. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks,
the super
buddy.
chat said, maybe this was mentioned and I missed it, but Moff Gideon didn't seem to struggle with the Darksaber.
Yeah.
It's true. He really didn't. He just kind of wielded it. But how long did
I
he
think
have
he kind
it?
of did.
Do we know
re-
how long he had it for?
I remember criticizing that
Oh, I
fight
don't
as like it was built up and it felt like he was like, ugh, ugh, the whole time.
Oh, yeah. Just throwing it around. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why.
Maybe go back and rewatch it with the light of saying like maybe he is or isn't struggling with it. And like I also don't know, like obviously Maul used it, so like was it cool with what was Maul doing? Like maybe it was cool with what Moff Gideon was doing. Like I don't know. Although they kind of allude to it, like it's not supposed to be taken under bad circumstances,
Right.
you know, because it'll bring pain or whatever. But maybe that's part of it, because it was taken under bad circumstances. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to make it really easy to bring problems for the Mandalorian. So I'm going to make it easier for Moff Gideon to use it, so that the prophecy can be fulfilled, that it will bring problems to the Mandalorian. It's all complicated. I don't know. Trying to make sense of it.
Yeah. So that's it for Super Chats. My thoughts on what's next. I honestly think this next episode is going to be Luke. I think that because it's supposedly Filoni's episode, and I feel like there's no one else they'd trust more to write Luke than Filoni, if not with Favreau, but the direction too, especially because we got the Ahsoka episode with Filoni. I feel like those big important moments with legacy characters are kind of getting input from Dave Filoni. I also think he'd be great for this kind of probably lore, spiritual type explanation of the episode. We don't know if Din is going to ask Luke for advice with the Darksaber, or what's going to happen with that about like the Jedi mindset and talking about that. I know some people said they thought that Din in the chat, which by the way, thanks guys for being in the chat. We really appreciate it. Keep the comments and questions coming. People in the chat said that they thought that maybe Din would go away in the next episode and come back again. I think they're going to tie up that Grogu thing pretty quick to get to the action with the next. There's only 2 episodes left, guys. So that's my opinion anyway. And then we're going to see all these kind of people come together for this war. I do think Crimson Dawn is behind everything. I said that from the first episode with those like assassins, that I thought that they were behind. Crimson Dawn was behind that assassination attempt, and I know that they kind of commented about maybe the Hutts did it, but then the Hutts made it sound like they didn't do it, and they weren't sure who hired them, so it just kind of makes me think that like all these little kind of breadcrumbs are leading to Crimson Dawn, and if Emilia Clarke shows up, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah. At this point, I don't feel like I want to call it. I want to say, I hear everything. It all makes sense. Whatever it ends up being, I'm going to like it. I'm going to be happy with that outcome. You know, the way we're talking about him needing to go find muscle, you know, it's like, okay, well, that could be Bosk. That could be Cad Bane, you know, like that could be the next episode where we're finally getting some of those payoffs or whatever. And I do feel like there's a quick little criticism here. I do feel like we kind of brushed over the fact that this was the best episode of the show so far, and it's the one that doesn't include the Boba Fett character and the story and all that other stuff. What does that say about it? If Boba Fett does want to land as being like, oh man, I remember watching Book of Boba Fett, started slow, wasn't really feeling it, landed great, and I remember it fondly. Like, I think these last couple episodes do have to do something, because, I mean, Mandalorian shows up and, like, he's not saving the Book of Boba Fett, but clearly all of our scores were the highest they've been, you know?
Yeah.
There's something there that is causing that to shake out that way. And I don't know. I just, I'm cool with whatever they decide to do for this show, but I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
I'm still, even though she was the one to be there to greet Mando, I'm still keeping an eye on Fennec Shand, because I still think there's something going on there with her.
Madame Garza too. There's something going on with her too.
Oh yeah, there's like loose ends at this point. That's another thing I was going to mention. Why wasn't that Boba Fett?
That's the thing. She's been like constantly saying like, "Let me go." Let me go.
No,
you know, this whole season, that every time he says I should be out there showing my face, she's like, no. Let me go do it.
I guess. But he does go out there and show his face. I guess my criticism is if you're going to give us an episode of the Book of Boba Fett and he's not, you know, going to be in it, it's going to be all Mandalorian. You should have probably tied him in and have Samuel L. Jackson show up at the end, or you should have had Vin Diesel been like, know a friend at the end of Tokyo Drift. Like, somehow.
Oh, the NOS. That was my Easter egg. The NOS, the pressing of the button and he shoots off.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious in this, but I felt weird with that being Fennec and you being like, oh, that's right. This is the Book of Boba Fett. It's like, then why wasn't it him? It would have been cool to have him show up and be like, I need you back, you know, and they Rocky Adonis, or not Adonis, but
Dylan,
Apollo
you
Creed,
son
like-
of a.
Predator.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But
What's the matter? CIA got you pushing too many pencils?
Nice. I like that. Was a good Arnold.
but that was, I just wanted to mention that too, because I was like, oh, it's Fennec at the end, and that's cool. But like, it would have been nice to have a reminder, like, that's right, this is Book of Boba Fett, right? Now
Well,
we're
also
getting
with-
involved.
What's
We'll see
cool
what
is
they do next week.
him throwing away the payment, saying like, "Oh, it's for Boba Fett." Like, I'm cool with that
Yeah.
guy because now we're both not Mandalorians, and
Yeah.
I'm like connecting with him more because Boba Fett
Yeah.
takes his helmet off like every 3 seconds, so there's no
I think
chance
we're gonna have
he
to
can be-
retire the name of this show, the
Yeah.
Mando fan show. Everybody it's
So-
about is not Mandalorian anymore.
I think next week it's going to up the ante for the action. I don't know that we're going to be dipping too much further back with flashbacks. I don't know if they're going to revisit the Camino thing and round out why that was being teased to us, but I think by the end of the series we'll see why that was a thing. I still think, you know, the Rancor is going to get involved in the streets. He's going to be riding that thing and tearing stuff up. I think we're going to get a lot of cameos. I think he's going to put his tribe together, and I don't think that this is going to end on a full closure ending, like Adam said. I think this is going to carry over and have ramifications into season 3 of The Mandalorian and other shows that they're doing. Maybe even Ahsoka, who knows? But I think they're well aware that it's still Boba Fett's show, and I don't know that we've seen the Boba Fett that we went into the show looking for, and I think that's the Boba Fett we're going to get in these last 2. I think there's going to be a lot more helmet on, a lot more action, and a lot more old school Boba Fett, because Favreau, in the end, likes playing with his action figures, and Boba Fett's his favorite action figure. So, any final thoughts before we hop out of here? I know, Lacey, we may have a couple more super chats we have to get to and stuff. So why don't we get through those, and then we can give our final thoughts and hop out of here.
Yeah, so we have a super chat from Star Wars Theology. Thank you so much. We said, long
Thank
live
you.
the world between worlds. Will Grogu have a lightsaber already constructed? I just found the Star Wars channel. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you for joining us. We
Thank
hope you're having
you.
fun in the chat. So what do you guys think? I'll let Adam jump in first. What do you think about Grogu having a lightsaber already?
I think anything with Grogu that is even like more than like 1 click past adorable baby is something we really have to take our time, like, pardon the pun, take baby steps to get to. If he's just all of a sudden speaking full English and he has a lightsaber next time we see him, it's going to be goofy. I think they're really going to tread lightly and be smart with that. I think it's going to be a while.
Yeah. I
What
don't
do you
he
guys
has a
think?
lightsaber.
John?
I don't think he has a
James?
lightsaber yet.
I agree with that too. I thought the armor thing was interesting that they were going to do that route, but when thinking back on the Clone Wars and like the types of characters, like it's not necessarily their age. Obviously, it was like their like emotional growth and their ability to like explore and go find the Kyber and stuff. I'm like, I just don't know that Grogu's there yet. He would like have to wander into a cave and like be like, oh look, there it is, and it's like
Yeah.
the whole trial of like the hallucinations and stuff that goes into the Kyber thing. I just don't see him being that age.
Yeah, he's still like distracted by frogs and crap. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's gonna find a Kyber crystal.
Right. I agree. I am curious. I guess this is a good spot to end on. What do you guys think she gave him? Do you think it's a necklace, his own pendant? Do you think it's like armor, like chainmail? Because we saw the links falling. What do you guys think she gave him to give to Grogu in that nicely neat little Etsy wrapped present?
It's kind of
I mean,
tough.
chainmail seems right to me, but I can't imagine him looking like a knight.
That goes. I'm saying
you
to
know?
Adam's point. Like we're gonna get the Scott Steiner version of Grogu. Like what's going on?
Yeah, I think it has to be chainmail because they literally are spelling out for you. I think James said it. We've said it a couple times on the show, but James brought it up earlier. Is like every decision when they show you something is for a reason. They want the audience to recognize that they're doing said thing. They're showing you this object. You know, they're making you focus on something. So the fact that they show those, it just kind of was like, yes, this must be it. But how does it fit in that little package?
He's a tiny little guy.
He is.
Yeah.
You're right.
You should see me like pack my kids' macaroni leftovers into like a little tiny Tupperware thing. Just mash it in there.
Yeah, like-
It's called Chekhov's gun, and it's a dramatic principle that states that every element in a story must be necessary and irrelevant elements must be removed. I
Yeah.
think it's based on somebody being like, when you show me the gun, if you're going to show me that shot, then someone eventually has to grab that gun,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And Adam, you were going to add something there.
Well, first I was going to say, I accidentally had my little tiny 6-pound dog's harness in my pocket for like hours and didn't even realize it was there. So it could very well be a whole outfit made out of chainmail for him, and it just goes.
Oh, fair.
But it could also just be a necklace with a pendant of his signet. You know,
Yeah,
the mud
Yeah.
so that was my first thought. Yeah.
Does he already,
Someone had mentioned the ball from the Razor Crest that he always was obsessed about, having her make another one.
I feel like that's too personal for her to recreate.
Well, he
that.
still has that, right? Because he picked it up out of the wreckage.
Yeah, Mando still has it, right?
all
Yeah.
side note is, as she said, that it can't be a weapon and it's only supposed to be used for armor. So to create a ball or a necklace or something is not armor.
Right.
So
Yeah.
very clearly it's a form of armor that they're giving him. So it could be a helmet, it could be a suit or a chest plate or armor, like for his arms or something. I didn't mean that to be weird, but the fact that they showed the little chain links, I feel like that just means like he's gonna wear this, and when he wears this, maybe it's under his suit, and they're gonna have he gets shot and he falls over, and then they'll pull the thing and he's got the chainmail or something, you know, and it's gonna be like
Bulletproof vest.
oh, he would, yeah, exactly, yeah. I love this guy.
Grogu's freaking Clint Eastwood just making
Yeah,
Biff
exactly.
happy in the alternate 1985. All right, so Adam, we'll let you have the final thought here. Anything you want to throw out there or put a bow on, and then of course give some plugs as to where people can find you. I know you and your band are a part of that gigantic festival that's happening in Vegas later this year, which they just added a third date to.
When we were young,
Yes.
yeah, right?
Yes. And
Yeah,
That's
so,
weird
yeah,
that you
fire away,
guys
man.
know about that. That's strange.
It was everywhere.
dude, it broke the internet. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is
To
real.
me, I look at that and I'm like bamboozle, or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It is real. That's the first question I get from everyone. Like, dude, is this legit? Yes, it's real. It's being organized by people who know exactly what they're doing. They do have enough time to get to all the bands. It's happening. It's going to be amazing. It's 3 dates. There's the weekend, I don't even know, 22nd, 23rd, I think, and then the following weekend. It's the exact same lineup each time. So even if you missed the pre-sale for the first one, you still have an opportunity to go and get on that next date. Who knows? Maybe they'll do it every weekend for a year because people are that pumped about it.
It is crazy. But
Yes.
then again, I mean, I agree with everyone. It's like your high school years all over again. You're like, this
Yes.
is high school.
It's a true, like, early 2000s Warped Tour greatest hits kind of thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And my band's in the studio right now, back and forth from Nashville, making a new album, which is, I know everyone says this about the current thing that they're working on, like, oh, it's the best thing we've ever done. But no joke, it's the best thing we've done since our first album, objectively
Awesome, man.
speaking. Everyone who hears the songs kind of feels the same way, and I haven't been this stoked on music in at least 10 years. So,
Dude, that's
Awesome.
man. Sick. And it has to feel really good getting back out there post-pandemic. I'm sure there was lulls
Yes.
going on. So I'm glad to see that you guys are doing that and that you're that fired up about it. And then you have Thank the Maker, Star Wars
Yeah.
podcast, which you said you guys are putting out your reaction review episode tomorrow, right?
yeah, we've been on it this time. We made the mistake with with whatever. What was Bad Batch was most recent,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Bad
Bad
Batch. We
Batch.
were doing it the following week. It was stupid. It sucked. By the time everybody could listen, they were pretty much
Over
probably
it.
already watching the next episode. So we're on it this time. We're recording in the afternoon, day of. We're dropping it the next morning, or actually as soon as I'm done. Every Wednesday, I just upload it. So it might even be up by midnight tonight.
Very cool, man.
Thank the Maker is myself, Ryan Key from Yellow Card, Nick Gambarian from Bayside, and we love Star Wars. A bunch of musicians who love Star Wars.
Yeah, you guys are great, and we love interacting with you guys. And I know Lacey's been on your show.
Yeah.
And we just have a blast hanging out and interacting with you guys. That's why I'm so glad you were able to join us. Nick had been on the show previously, so it's nice to cross paths with like-minded, fellow, awesome Star Wars fans. And good luck with everything with the rest of the recording for the album. Looking forward to hearing that. And we'll touch base with you soon about more geeky things as well in the future.
Awesome.
So.
I should say one more thing also. We've kind of expanded the podcast network. We're now a network of 3.
Ooh.
We have Armor Party Podcast, which is all about Star Wars costuming. Our friend Mike Forster, who runs Hondo Supply, he hosts that. He has
That's awesome.
Next week, the guest is, I'm failing in remembering this guy's name, but he's the dude who designed Darth Vader's helmet.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude.
Super cool.
Yeah, so he's got a bunch of great guests. And then Princess and Scoundrel is a new podcast that just launched a few weeks ago. It's all about Galaxy's Edge and Disney park going.
Oh, sick.
It's hosted by some folks that were fans of the podcast, and we became friends with them. Sarah and Stephen Maciel. Sarah's a travel agent, actually. She booked our Galactic Star Cruiser trip, and that's how we met her. So
Awesome. Very
nice,
fun.
man.
She
Very
is
cool.
They have a lot of information about that Galactic Star Cruiser whole thing coming up. So check out that podcast. You can find them at Armor Party Show on Instagram, at Princess and Scoundrel. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. We are at Thank the Maker on Twitter, at Thank the Maker Pod on Instagram. I'm at Adam the Skull on all the things, and that's it.
Oh, dude, awesome, man. We want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you are subscribed to our show as well on your preferred audio platform, or, of course, the channel here, youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. We are big on Spotify, Apple, all the others. We have episodes twice a week. And once the end of Boba Fett comes and goes, we will be going back to Mondays and Thursdays with TRB. So make sure you are subscribed to the show. StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Big thank you to our patrons, patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. This show does not exist without you. So thank you especially to our Patreon generals, Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Nathan Schenk, Danny, New Guy, Mike Ramore, and Val Trichkoff. Spice Runners. Some of them are in the chat, I know right now. Maybe all of them. David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C Chris, Kendall Gellner, Ryan Warrer, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, Thomas Hennessy. And again, thank you to everybody who listens and supports what we do here. Next Wednesday, February 2nd. That's like around Groundhog Day, right? Hopefully we're not repeating things, though. Chapter 6, 9 p.m. East, will be joined by Andy Bain, frontman for the band Danger Kids, and also a very popular Twitch streamer in his own right. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, Star Wars Newsnet, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. Lacey.
People could find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin, and I will be doing the Mando Minute reaction recap video the morning of the next episode. So hopefully it's a Luke episode, Grogu episode.
Yes. James.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks, and just eagerly anticipating that next Story of the Year album.
Aww.
Absolutely.
That's so nice.
Adam, once again, thanks a lot, buddy. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anytime we have a guest, you can just tell out of the gate whether it's going to be a good chat or smooth, and it was. So welcome back anytime on a regular pod whenever. Love to have you, buddy.
We'd love to have any of you guys on as well on Thank the Maker. Good times.
Cool.
Sounds like a party to me, man. All right. Thank you, everybody. And from James, Lacey, Adam, and myself, thanks for watching, listening, and we'll see you next week on the Mando Fan Show. Until then, see you around, kids.